fact that he'll be now playing the top lane is another one of, will he be able to perform up to par with the rest of the top laners?
Yeah.
And he's going to be going, you know, Neon Fire is Shaded's top laner, who those two play on a team together. So again, a little bit of that, maybe that familiarity might come through in terms of knowing what your opponent's trying to do.
Honestly, it's an interesting topic of conversation for me right now, the concept of roles for individual players, because so many players are free agents right now, bouncing between teams or recently having left teams. There aren't that many major orgs in Vainglory right now, so having a consistent role sometimes can be a negative if you're trying to get onto one of those few orgs. You've got to be able to be flexible. TiVo proving that he can be. We'll see how that's going to pay off for him here today when he's in that top lane. We'll see if he's had enough time to practice that role. Churnwalker going to be our first lock-in of the draft for ShadedTalent. That'll either be in the captain or jungle role. On the other side, though, we've got that Arden locked in. Once again, we've seen just a dominant top laner.
Yeah, I mean, Arden everyone says he's just kind of broken right now. I disagree. I think he's in the perfect spot personally, but that might just be me. Celeste going to come through, though, and this is one of those heroes that was target banned quite a bit, you know, against certain players. You know, Chuck is one of those players that just nobody ever wants to let him have this Celeste because you can play so safe with it. But you do have to be wary of if the assassins start to come out. You know, if something like the Reza is able to dive onto a Celeste, she doesn't have many options unless you build a team around her. And that'll be interesting to see now if they do try and put together this strong support around her, the Celeste, to be able to keep her safe. Although Silvernail and Finn going to be the two pickups for Team ShadedTalent. So likely to be that Churnwalker in the jungle, with Finn playing as a captain, and of course Silvernail is just such a strong carry.
I'm really curious about the next pick for Shaded here, because right now they have Silvernail plus a ton of protection, a ton of damage share as well coming out from the Churnwalker. You've got that hyper carry. They need some kind of CP damage on that squad, though, ideally. We'll see where they choose to go with that one, because these next two picks will decide what kind of style of composition this will turn into, because those three picks can kind of fit in multiple styles.
Yeah, and a lot of these mid laners that we have been seeing are off the table already. You know, Lorelai's gone, Celeste is gone, Vox is banned. You know, you're gonna have to dig a little bit deeper into the mid lane pools. And we just saw an Anka in the mid lane perform extremely well, but I think that is very much, you know, compositionally dependent. I don't think we're gonna see an Anka in this one, but it's looking for where they're going to go. Maybe this ends up being a Crystal Adagio that they've run into the mid lane just to get that crystal power, especially if they do lock in this Reza hover.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how they do Crystal Churnwalker. I hear it's pretty great. Or not.
You have heard wrong.
We'll see. We'll see. Inara looking to be the last pick there. We are going to reset that draft. Now, that is a bug with the client currently. In private drafts, sometimes it will just crash out. The picks that were locked in, though, will stay the same as we head on into this game. The Inara wasn't actually quite locked in, but it seems like a pretty good way to round out that composition regardless.
It could be, but again, it's a matter of, is that a hero that PvP Warrior is familiar with? Is he going to be, you know, comfortable playing the Inara? Because if you've previously been a laner, Inara's not really a hero you've been very likely playing too much of. So we'll see what that final pick was actually locked in as in a moment. But as we get ready for this matchup again, I'm a little bit concerned for IraqiZorro side not really having a whole lot of crystal power other than if they run the CP Adagio. Maybe they go with the Crystal Reza. I mean, that's how Reza was originally designed to be, was primarily a Crystal Mage, but the weapon power path has just been the go-to for most players.
Yeah, really, just fantastic, especially in that split push role. Inara was the final lock-in, I've just been told, so we have our compositions locked in. One thing I do want to bring to the table before the game starts, though, is the preparation that went into this game for either of our players. Last night, ShadedTalent basically went straight home to his hotel room and just was grinding scrims, as was Hammy. We actually went out for dinner with Iraqi and Louis Vuitton, or Outplayed. So there's a different level of preparation that's gone in there. And while they have gone afterwards and done some scrims and things like that, that versus an entire night of scrims is quite a different amount of practice.
Yeah, it definitely is. Definitely a little bit of a different, you know, level of preparation. But again, you look at what they ended up with, and I feel like the draft wasn't really, you know, it's not going to be the key factor of this game. Again, we talked about how at the start of the show, oh, draft is going to be everything for these teams. In this one, it didn't really feel like they were, counter picking or forcing people into certain spots.
Yeah. It was more about finding a composition that's comfortable for you. It's time to kick off game number 2 in our round robin. Here is ShadedTalent up against IraqiZorro as we jump on into the match. It's Dowsy and Escalating.
Game 2 of the VPL Fantasy All-Star event underway here with Team ShadedTalent versus Team IraqiZorro. We'll have to see which one of these can find themselves an advantage early on in this round robin stage at Scoundrel.
Yeah, absolutely. IraqiZorro was the most likely team to win as per fan vote, and he's got some incredible players on his team too. Tivo, LuluZio, who is a kind of a mechanical solo queue god. He's also got Max Green and Max and Iraqi both play with each other professionally at a very high level right now. I believe they are the WESG qualified Canada or Canadian team that will be making it through to the finals over there. So these guys have been playing a lot of high level Vainglory, but they are going up against ShadedTalent, and he's got a very, very strong team. Plenty of protection for that Silvernail, which is the most important thing. Very immobile carry is Silvernail, but he's got the Finn, the Churnwalker, and the Adagio, all to help keep him safe to some degree. So I really like the composition that ShadedTalent's team has put together.
Yeah, really interesting. We see LuluZio up against Neonfire in the top side. LuluZio playing an Arden, not normally the pick we see him, as you mentioned, a high-level mechanical solo queue god. Normally you see something a little bit more spicy from LuluZio, but we'll see how that works out for him on this Arden. Obviously, Arden has a lot of power currently.
Yeah, I think the times that I've seen LuluZio play so far, he's been on things like Kinetic, the more sort of ranged-based weapon power carries. But this is a composition that's looked like it's built primarily around IraqiZorro on this Celeste. He's the late-game powerhouse, but then you've got plenty of upfront damage. I assume Tivo is going to be going down the CP build path, simply because the weapon power sort of duel isn't really in the meta right now. If you're playing weapon power duel, you are primarily committing to a split push role, so there is a good chance that could be the case. But regardless,
can he find it in the bot lane is the question. It's a 1v2. Tivo on Mixi doing damage. PB Warrior obviously ticking away with those chains. Tivo trying to bait Mixi into a fight, gets pulled back, leashed back. PB Warrior, in fact, doing a lot of work on this churn. Potentially could just pick up the kill here. Goes under the turret and finds first blood.
Yeah, Tivo had already used that flask, and you have to respect that tick damage that comes out from Churnwalker's chain. Mixi just able to get out of the way. And this is something that's interesting. Churnwalker, a super high-level power pick in the current meta for Vainglory, actually being played jungle, which realistically is likely just going to be played as second support. So you're likely just going to be seeing PvP Warrior playing more of a supportive jungle role, and really going to be there just babysitting Mixi in lane to make sure that he gets fed. Mixi has been, in my eyes, one of the standout performers of the entire VPL All-Stars. He has been an absolute monster across almost every week that we've seen him play. And so PvP Warrior is there to provide that support for him. You're going to have these two backline powerhouses with D'Enzio on his patented, his famed CP Adagio. If you go back all the way through the years of Vainglory Esports, this is one of D'Enzio's most famous picks, even though he said himself doesn't like playing it. And you're going to have Neonfire playing with his, Mixi playing with this sort of very high damage output range weapon power carry in the form of Silvernail, and lots of protection for teamfight situations, like I said, for these guys.
Yeah, really exciting stuff to see Mixi on the Silvernail. I know FlashX was raving about it last week on the desk, especially when it's in the hands of Mixi, one of his former teammates back. Feels like years ago. It was, in fact.
it was in fact years ago. Might feel like years ago because it was in fact years ago.
There you go. Facts are facts, Scoundrel. Level's coming up to the top lane. LuluZio trying to set up a fight, but Level's not here in time. Playing Inara here. We've seen a lot of Inara last week. Really interesting hero for the jungle. Lots of utility with that ultimate. Can get everyone in and out of a fight. Basically, like having 3 war treads on your team.
Yeah, there's something that I sort of see the evolution of Inara for competitive gameplay. She is very heavy in terms of utility of the team. People try to play her as sort of a damage carry in terms of like a top laner, and it's good, especially in solo queue, but in a situation where you've got these big powerhouse carries like Celeste, often she is just either used to disengage or find that perfect engage onto the enemy team while speeding everybody up. So yeah, I think really good pick in general for a team composition. But I think one thing that you do have to worry about just for Iraqi's team is a lot of the eggs are in the Iraqi basket in this particular game. It's pretty much in the late game. Iraqi's going to be the guy dealing the consistent damage output in the team, and he's the one that everybody really has to protect and make sure that he isn't threatened.
Yeah, absolutely. Mixi, very early bot lane turret taken with PvP Warrior. That's something that he was on top of last week in week 3 of this All-Star event. Always putting a lot of pressure in his lane, making sure that that gold gets into his team's pocket as quickly as possible. Already netting the team a 1,000 gold lead at this early 5-minute mark. Going to start to see this power spikes kicking in. Scoundrel level 6s about to come your way, as well as those first item pickups. This is where fights can break out and gold leads can really start to skyrocket.
Yeah, you have to be worried for especially the level 6 pickup for the Bin. You don't actually have a Crucible to work with right now, so that's essentially a free engage for ShadedTalent onto Iraqi if he's not careful. With no reflex blocks, no Crucibles, max green going for a fountain first, you do have to be a little worried. It does look like Level is going for a Crucible first on the Inara, and look at this, he's also gone Journey Boots. The tier 3 item that he's picked up first is Journey Boots, and I guess that's just to roam around the map consistently, be a nuisance in the enemy jungle, and look for engages wherever he can get them.
Yeah, Pico played a fantastic top lane. Inara last week, it was something of sight to witness. Super mobile with a decent amount of damage, but obviously there's more utility Inara, just roaming and trying to be a threat in the jungle. Look at this, Mixi and PvP Warrior already on that tier 2 turret. Doesn't look like they're quite there, LuluZero and Level. Suddenly trying to get onto this turret, but Neonfire is holding them off, doing really well on this weapon power Reza, just to be that force to reckon with. Very mobile, good wave clear as well with your combo, your ability combo, and it just feels like TiVo is really far behind.
Yeah, TiVo is really far. I mean, it feels like he's really far behind because he is really far behind. I mean, for a top laner, he's not too bad being 20 CS down on your own enemy bot laner. But realistically, the style of game that we're seeing Shaded...
Okay, Max Green gets out. Oh, no, he doesn't. Never mind. I spoke too soon. As the auto attack with the alternating current coming through from D'Enzio.
Rip a Reno. I think the style of game that you're seeing ShadedTalent's team play is... Ooh, wait a second, Level. What is going on, bud? What are you doing?
Level wants the fight. Can he get out? Here comes that Solar Storm. Ghostwing has been started up. IraqiZorro fancies a fight. Doesn't have the range of the extra for the Helogenesis. TiVo's coming in, and he's going to be focused on down, diving away. IraqiZorro onto D'Enzio. Picks up the kill with the assist from the Ghostwing. TiVo going in, gets stunned up, has the ultimate, but will not be able to use it. IraqiZorro still laying down some damage, and Max Green's here. They're looking like they want to fight here. Can they get in range is the question, pushing them out. That's going to be that Treant into Mixi's paws. The healing very much necessary. Max Green trying to set up a route with the fish food, but won't be able to get into position, and that should be the disengage.
That enough for IraqiZorro's team, given the situation. They disengage from the Ghostwing, and actually very good heads-up play from Iraqi and Level, even though Level maybe slightly felt like he overcommitted in that situation, gets out free, and really the main thing is that they get the Ghostwing stopped and pick up a kill for themselves. So that's a really good situation for Iraqi to be in, because the more time they buy, the better it is for Iraqi in the long run here, because like we said earlier, before we had that crazy fight, the kind of style of play that we're seeing ShadedTalent's team go for is essentially 2 duo lanes. Really, you don't actually have a jungler in this situation. All PvP Warrior is doing is basically acting as a support for Mixi in the bot lane, and they are just going to constantly push this duel in to try and stop her from either getting to a point where she's strong in team fights, or just constantly pressuring her, constantly denying her of CS and farm, and making her stuck in the bot lane, because all you're seeing is a split map right now. There's the pull.
Oh, pull onto IraqiZorro. He's got the water wall to keep him alive. Max Green gets out, and here comes the engage from Level, speeding up the entire team. Can they get in? LuluZero's diving on in. One punch man onto D'Enzio, and the kill goes IraqiZorro's way. PvP Warrior trying to escape. The Crucible too late from Level. Max Green under turret will survive just barely, ticking very low, but now they move down towards the bot lane because Mixi potentially out of position. TiVo wants to try and dive on in. Looks like the call was said, don't do it. Level kind of wants it though.
Iraqi also almost punished there by Neon in the mid lane, but LuluZero was on the sidelines, as was the rest of his team as they move in towards that mid lane turret to try and protect it. So it felt like all that pressure in the bot lane, they tried to convert it into a rotation into the mid lane. Wait a second, I think Mixi might be caught here.
Yeah, Mixi's just completely caught out. Tries to use the ultimate to disengage. Spellfire? Is it ticking down? It is. Looks like LuluZero should move in, but somehow, some way, Level finds himself dead to the Silver Nail. A 1-for-1 trade in a 3v1.
Well, they do relieve a bit of pressure in the bot lane, and that was one of the Achilles heels of this composition from IraqiZorro's team right now, is that they were constantly being pressured bot. You couldn't see any rotations out of TiVo, and it just felt like that was insurmountable. They were just constantly going to get turrets. They were pushing all the way to that armory, but because that play around Ghostwing kind of pushed the accelerator off a little bit for the side of ShadedTalent's team, IraqiZorro has bought a lot of time here. His own top lane's been able to rotate down, and now by taking out Mixi, that's created enough space and pressure on the bot side of the map.
Yeah, look at this. Going to be the Ghostwing contested by ShadedTalent alone, and unfortunately Finn can't do anything. Dienzio and PvP Warrior were shopping on the other side of the map. Great heads-up play coming out of IraqiZorro's team, finding themselves that objective. Now in the bot lane, they're going to find Mixi as well. Great gank coming through from LuluZio. Using that Nara to get on in there, they're going to find themselves a turret as well.
Yeah, now the fact that the Churnwalker has rotated out of that lane, the massive mobility of this Inara being able to impact more than just that singular lane that you see the Churnwalker doing is having massive team-wide impact at this point in time. Max and Iraqi have enough wave clear to defend against 3 people in the mid, and with this roaming Inara, suddenly the pressure is starting to equalize across the map. This is really good for Iraqi's team. They bought such a lot of time from that early game, and they're keeping themselves level on gold despite that pressure mounting.
Yeah, really are at this point. It's very even. Here comes level in towards that mid lane. Dienzio does get rooted up for half a second. LuluZio is moving up as well. No gauntlet available, though, is worth noting on cooldown for the next 60 seconds. So no giant team fights expected yet from IraqiZorro's team. But Neonfire potentially out of position here. Rooted by the fish food as level goes ham. Trying to find some kills. They're going to force the ultimate out of Neonfire to escape. ShadedTalent on the front line of a fight as well in the mid lane. Really just pressure on all fronts, Scoundrel.
Yeah, and the Ghostwing buff makes it very difficult to land any kind of meaningful damage on Iraqi's team because they have that shield and a little bit of sustain that it provides. The only thing that they have in the back of their minds is Mixi pushing this bot lane. They've used that Inara ultimate. No, Inara ultimate's back up already, never mind. They've got that Inara ultimate, so Mixi does have to be careful, but they now have to go back to their side lanes and start to push out. What you're really seeing here is Iraqi's team just constantly clearing waves in mid and dealing with this split push pressure coming out from Mixi and Neonfire. So they're not actually getting much on the map, they're just dealing with what's being thrown at them. But like I said, if you buy time for Iraqi's team, you have a really high damage output late game scaling carry with a decent amount of protection with the Lorelei. And actually that's a good situation to be in for IraqiZorro's team. They want this to go a little bit further into the game.
Yeah, I mean, one of Celeste's biggest weakness has always been her mobility at Scoundrel, with Nature's Wrath from Inara to give her that movement speed necessary just to reposition for 10 seconds in a team fight is pretty huge. Not to mention it allows LuluZio to dive on in, and he does that onto Mixi's face, finding another solo kill for himself. That's a huge pull. IraqiZorro is going to get bursted on down. Fountain, Water Wall. Can he stay alive? He goes down, and Dienzio going to burst them all down. Huge damage coming out of that Adagio ultimate. Thankfully was dodged out for Max Green and level, but taking down that mid laner, suddenly the pressure game is gone. LuluZio fancies himself a god. Can he find a solo kill into Dienzio on a 1v3? It would be insane. Gauntlet flies out. He gets the kill. He gets the kill. Levels here as well to provide the utility, and LuluZio will march out the man he is.
Wow, what a bait by Lulu. Just gets that gauntlet, making him think he's going to disengage. He feels that that was a bit of an escape coming out from Lulu. Wait a second, he's not done. He's going for Neon. He gets... He survives. I just play-by-played that story, Talsi. But he survives.
That was amazing.
That was so good from Lulu because he disengaged with... obviously disengaged with his gauntlet. And that, to Dienzio, felt like an escapism play. He was trying to escape and get out of that situation. Escapism's not the right word, I apologize. But he tries to get out and he makes it feints the escape for Dienzio. Dienzio feels confident to move back up. Bam! Blood for blood, right to the face. Great play from LuluZio. And this is actually the Arden build that's been floating around. I didn't realize this was a thing. Maybe we saw Outplayed go it last game. It looks like it's the situation for Lulu here. Blood for blood is going to give you a massive burst of sustain with the Serpent's Mask. So I think this is a very powerful build for just sort of baiting people into thinking you're down, and then Blood for blood gives you that huge burst in HP regeneration.
Yeah, not to mention mid-patch update coming through for 3.8, nerfing that tension bow just a little bit, taking its power just slightly out of the meta, less offensive than it used to be. Of course, not a terrible item. We'll see though. Bit of a fight break out towards this jungle as PvP Warriors just trying to set things up for Mixi to come on in here. It's a 4v3 at this point. that they might not know because Level is waiting, ready to go. Here comes the pull, here comes Level. That's going to be a massive debate, and here comes TiVo into the middle of the fight. Dienzio's taken out LuluZero across the map, and Quibble locks TiVo down for now. MixG gonna get burned down by that big red button, and now it's just ShadedTalent marching to his death. Will fall down in just a second. The double kill comes through for IraqiZorro. In the end, a 2 for 1 across the map. We'll have to see if anything more comes from it.
It wasn't a missed Crucible. It was just a bait, Dalsy. Just a bait. Level was baiting that pull. He wanted it to happen, knowing that they were able to go into a 4 versus 3 situation, and Iraqi had plenty of sustain and help to keep him healthy in that situation. And now they're going to go for Ghost Wing 2. Respawns have happened. There is a bit of split push pressure coming out from Neon, but Neon showing himself on the top side of the map with everybody there for Iraqi's team near Ghost Wing makes them feel confident to go for this global objective.
It's going to be uncontested as well. So Ghost Wing once more goes the way of IraqiZorro's team here. The gold still relatively even at this 16-minute mark at 1,000 in the lead for Team ShadedTalent. Doesn't really mean anything at this point. IraqiZorro? Go on.
You know, I was going to say one thing I'd notice if you look at the CS discrepancy between Dienzio and Iraqi. It felt like they were hyper farming Iraqi with some of this jungle farm, but actually Dienzio's managed to pull them very far ahead in terms of his own personal CS values. We have a fight.
Level's trying to stay alive here. Gonna have that Crucible. LuluZero trying to escape the back line, but it's gonna be Neon Fire diving on in, not finding anything. IraqiZorro, level 12. Can he make anything work? There's the ultimate coming through from the Jewel, but there's so much damage out of MixG. Solar Storm rips through the entire enemy team, but it's not enough at this point to find a kill here. IraqiZorro at range doing his best, but LuluZero wants to fight, dives on in. Does he have the damage? He's going to get taken out here. That's going to be Level going as well. It's a disaster. TiVo fails the wall jump and now has to march his way away as Neon Fire comes on in. PvP Warrior gets the kill. It's only IraqiZorro left alive, and this mid lane turret will not stand a chance. Black Claw ready to go as well.
That was a little bit in. Not gonna lie. Just a little bit Dalsy. Just a smidgen of intentional feeding. I think
Assume positive intent.
Assume positive intent. Level just missed the Crucible, unfortunately, on the Churnwalker ultimate, so he was stuck in an awkward situation. The damage from TiVo just isn't very strong right now. He's a 2-item CP duel, and Iraqi's actually struggling from something that I think a lot of Celestes have been doing. You know, I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of mid laners who are very energy hungry usually go tier 3 item into Halcyon charges to then go for another energy regeneration item down the line. Iraqi's only got the Eve. To be able to constantly spam your Heliogenesis, you do kind of need 2 energy regeneration items. So Iraqi is kind of struggling in terms of energy regeneration at this point, simply because he's only got 1 energy regeneration item. He's also not gone Dragon's Eye, so longevity team fights don't really suit him. And you've got a big front line of Finn and Churnwalker. That, to me, feels like a perfect situation to have a Dragon's Eye. Whereas he's gone for the Shattered Glass, so he's going to have to find really crucial placements of these Heliogenesis. Otherwise, he's actually going to start to struggle to match the damage output of Dienzio.
Yeah, it's going to be a hard thing to do. IraqiZorro is really looking just for straight up burst, potentially onto Mixer, you would assume. Try and remove that Silver Nail from a fight as quickly as possible. We'll have to see if he's able to do so in the future, because we're starting to hit that point scoundrel at 18 minutes where these team fights are the make or break moment. If you get aced at this point in the game, that's going to be an armory turret, an armory, and potentially even your Bane Crystal.
Yeah, I agree. This is sort of tense situations. They do manage to fend off the Black Claw. Iraqi almost at his 4th item, but again, doesn't have those Halcyon charges. That's going to really limit him in terms of the consistent damage output. And like I said, he's burning through his energy because that front line is so beefy. And remember, Finn shares his resistances as well. So that makes everybody else beefy when Polite Company is there. Oh, another late Crucible.
Yeah, that's going to cost. Nope, it won't. IraqiZorro gets out unscathed there. Going to take that Crystal Treant. Ghost Wing is the port of call here. All teams grouping up to try and contest it. LuluZero dives over the wall, bursting down Dienzio here, doing a bit of work. Fountain's going to be forced. Can they get the kill onto Dienzio? He pops the Verse of Judgment to stay alive. PvP Warrior trying to set up a fight with the Churnwalker, isn't able to do so. Lots used. No one goes down though, but potentially it's just enough to force a Ghost Swing in favor of Team IraqiZorro.
Yeah, the Dienzio is able to sustain back up with his Gift of Fire, but Iraqi's zoning away. But look at his energy again. He's very low on energy because, again, just has those single tier 1 boots. There's the pull.
Oh, that's a huge force to caught, and that's IraqiZorro deleted from the game. Level is going to go down. Mixi is charging on through. Dienzio does get bursted by LuluZeo. It's a silver lining for the side of Team IraqiZorro, but it may not be enough at this stage as TiVo backports in front of Mixi. Diving away, will escape for now. LuluZeo left in a 1v3. Trying to win it, almost does so. Neonfire will get away. He's winning this! What are you doing, LuluZeo? How are you doing this? Here comes Mixi and says, all right, mate, it's time to die. And he will go down. Holy moly. It's going to be a Ghost Swing started up here for Team ShadedTalent. And TiVo maybe even losing his life on this duel.
Yeah, TiVo has to be very careful. He's going to back out, though. Ghost Swing could be the, like you said, point of call sometime soon for ShadedTalent's team. Looks like they're going to be able to do that. They can solo it out with just the Reza, by the way. This Reza build is very sustain heavy with the Serpent's Mask in tow. He should be able to get this by himself. We've seen a lot of people do this over the course of the VPL All-Stars. And with Iraqi showing himself top, they know that the major threat is down. Although that is the Finn ultimate gone now.
I wonder if it'll mean anything. Look at the Silvernail silence, just keeping Max Green locked up. Here comes the Water War and Fountain to try and keep the support alive, but he will not be able to survive. TiVo stunned up, locked up, going down to Dienzio's auto attacks as it burns away. Will be able to backport home. Ghost Swing was secured and they're marching their way up towards IraqiZorro here. Dienzio just charging on in. Will be able to walk away, but with half his health bar, you have to think with everyone backporting to heal, they might just call the Black Claw. Yep, immediately walking over to the Dragon's Pit to take down that objective.
Yeah, I don't think there's much that Iraqi's team can do, especially with Max Green being down now. Iraqi has just finished up his Broken Myth and picked up a Infusion, so that will give him a little bit more burst damage, especially versus this front line. As TiVo gets pulled in.
Oh no, feels bad, man. When Churnwalker yoinks you as you're jumping away, you don't get yoinked. You don't get to run away. That's going to be the kill. That's going to be the Black Claw. 100% secured here. Dienzio just stealing away gold as he does so against 3 members of Iraqi's team.
Oops. A little bit worried for the damage output. Yeah, whoops. A little bit worried for the damage output for IraqiZorro's team here, Dallas. You have a no Dragon's Eye Celeste with just 1 energy regeneration item, which means you have very limited time to get your damage off. You have an Arden who admittedly is doing a lot of damage, but is actually fairly squishy, especially versus Mixi. And
Max Green pulled into the fight immediately, forced to use that Water War on himself as well, and that's the Armory turret gone. That could just spell the fight right there and now for the side of ShadedTalent. Black Claw onto the Armory is going to take it very quickly, and LuluZeo dives onto Dienzio, trying to take down the Adagio, but they cannot. He walks away. IraqiZorro is charging on in. Looks like they may have just scared them away. Going to be the safe play here from Team ShadedTalent as they march away and allow their Black Claw to die.
Tell you what, LuluZeo is single-handedly keeping Iraqi's team floating in this game right now. He has been an absolute madman on that Arden. Iraqi's managed to pick up a little bit of gold. We're working towards, I guess, those Halcyon Chargers. Yeah, going to pick up the tier 2 boots. It's going to be close to those. Only needs about 100 more gold to get those finished off, and that'll give him the energy regeneration he needs to have the sustained damage in these team fights. But it is looking scary. I mean, you need the perfect setup for Iraqi's team to make sure you're the team coming out on top in these fights. Really requires a nice combination between the ultimate coming out from Jewel and with Iraqi getting a stun, and obviously LuluZeo getting into the fray of the fight as well. But the Jewel finishing up the Broken Myth is a pretty decent item spike now. I was a little bit worried about the overall damage output for Iraqi's team, and no Dragon's Eye Celeste. It was only a 2-item CP Jewel at this point, and obviously with the Arden, compared to the insane amount of damage that you're seeing coming out from ShadedTalent's team. But this might be enough to give them some sort of a little bit of a chance in these team fights now they've finished up some of those core items.
Yeah, IraqiZorro needs those Halcyon Charges and has to refresh the Crystal Infusion as well, so going for all, it feels, at this stage. Wants everything so the next team fight can be a success, but whilst we're waiting for that moment, look at what Team ShadedTalent are doing. Setting up Vision in the jungle, in the river, for this Ghost Wing, wanting to get that buff back on their side here, so they can win future team fights as well. LuluZeo's been on wave clear as well.
Yeah, they do have a Nice
Oh,
pick
look
up
at that.
there. The pull finally gets blocked. Finally.
Yeah, it is going to be Crucible from level to save that one. Max Green still has his. Here comes Neon Fire. TiVo burning them away. That's a choke point, but he gets bursted down and deleted. IraqiZorro still hasn't been able to purchase. This is not the fight that you want at this stage. If you are Team IraqiZorro, the Solar Storm doesn't quite connect. Dienzio's lurking, waiting for an engage onto Max Green here. Some damage coming through. That's Max Green pulled into the wall. And LuluZero. Okay, LuluZero just finds Mixi all by himself and takes him out by himself. LuluZero may be carrying this game as Neon Fire going to be taken out. A double kill for the Ardent. 3 versus 4, marching down the lane and Levels charging forward. LuluZero going to get onto Dienzio immediately here, diving on forward. PvP Warrior's just out. He says, see you later, alligator, leaving the River Troll to die in that bot lane. A fight won for Team IraqiZorro.
We said the madman LuluZero, he's the guy to be able to put IraqiZorro's team on his back, and with a backline kill onto Mixi, he picked up that infusion, which made him super powerful, and then dives in with the War Treads as well, getting 2 kills for his worth. This Arden build is disgusting. So much work getting done in these team fights, especially versus that squishy backline, and now Iraqi's picked up the Aegis, and will finally be able to convert that into his last item of, I really hope, the Halcyon Chargers.
I mean, I have to say.
I mean, to be honest, it's not been too much of a big deal because Lulu's been doing a lot of work in these fights, and so these fights have been breaking out before he's been getting low on energy or too low on energy to actually have to worry about it. But there we go. The Halcyon Charges have been completed. Thank you, Iraqi. I love you.
All right. Gold pretty much even at this 26-minute mark. A game of length. We have here game 2 of this VPL All-Stars Fantasy event. Blackclaw has spawned, and this time it's Team IraqiZorro starting it up immediately. Look at where Team ShadedTalent are. Neonfire's backporting. They do not expect this instantaneous Blackclaw, or they feel they can't contest it. One of the two, but either way, the Dragon will be sent to the mid lane. And now Team IraqiZorro seem to be leading the shots.
Very much a swing-y fight coming out here, or swingy game even coming out here from IraqiZorro's team as they finally get to a point where they feel comfortable to match up. Here's the ultimate coming out from Level, I think, or that might have just been the War Treads coming out from LuluZero, enough to scare and create some zoning pressure for this Blackclaw to move on to that second turret.
Going to be working its way down here. No fight being breaking out right now. It's just IraqiZorro with the range of the Helo Genesis. Make sure these turrets go down very quickly.
Look at that damage!
Huge fountain necessary because the big red button bursted through everyone on the side of Team ShadedTalent. One team fight from LuluZero may have been enough to put this game back in favor of Team IraqiZorro. We'll have to see as the armory turret falls. Now the Blackclaw onto the armory itself here. They need to fight or it's game over at this point. And look at that. Armory goes down. The fight takes out. Here's the gauntlet to set it all up. LuluZero, they're getting bursted down, but he's taking them out. Dienzio somehow still alive as Level tries to dive around the fight. There it is. Helo Genesis to the face. You're dead. TiVo trying to take down Mixi, but he gets back to base. Won't matter because Vein Crystal is falling here. It's going to go down in IraqiZorro's team in unbelievable fashion. Bring it back from death to take game 2.
That was a monster game. It felt like ShadedTalent was in control the entire time. But once those final item specs came in, those 2 broken myths, especially for TiVo, that broken myth was absolutely essential. And LuluZero, what a madman on this weapon power Arden. I think single-handedly keeping IraqiZorro's team fighting here.
Yeah, I said it wasn't a pick that I expected from him, but he did work on it. The Arden, just a monster. Tasty Bacon will be proud. So let's hear from him on the desk back in Las Vegas.